I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin, and in this video, I will present to you my plan to save the Solchicks project. Nothing in this video is financial advice, it is for entertainment purposes only. There has been quite a downtrend on the Solchicks chart, as you can see, with the next vesting period coming up, which I've been talking about for quite a bit. But of course, it's not all negative. There's also some love. So some people keep sending me messages, which I'm aware of, that the Solchicks team, specifically the moderators and the admins, are extremely negative about the content I produce, although I'm just sharing my opinion. So basically, they're saying, have you seen his videos? He doesn't really care about the long-term health of this project. He's just an IDO flipper. Ignore him, that's all it is. Well, I'm here to present you a different point of view because it's not all negative. Yes, I do flip IDOs. That is the thing on how an investor makes money. However, I do believe in the longevity of the Solchicks project. So in this video, to prove all of you wrong, I will share my business point of view, because I'm an entrepreneur first and an IDO flipper second, on how I would pull your project out of the dirt with all the improvements you can apply 100% free of charge. So if you're watching this and you also believe in the future of Solchicks just like me, share it with them on Discord, Twitter, let them know about this video, and let's see if out of all this value I'm going to bring them, they can still say that I'm only here for the money and all I do is FUD the project, because I don't think that that's true. I'm just sharing my opinion. I'm sharing what I believe to be true. And if that's not always as positive, I would work with the criticism that they receive. So the most important part here, what we're going to work with, is obviously the current price relative to the IDO price, because obviously I am an investor. So this video will most likely be about the price as an indication for other investors. Then the market cap, the fully diluted market cap, the volume, and the circulating supply. So we'll take all those elements into consideration in this video. I have a great Excel sheet, which we'll use, which is called Saving Solchicks by Colin Digits plus family, because I did ask my Discord for some input. And you can see this Discord has been around for a long time. Since I participated in the IDO, I have supported the Solchicks project with a full channel called Solchicks on my Discord. So all we do is share the love of the Solchicks project here. And of course, I'm a little bit butthurt that they're so negative about my opinion on this project, because I do feel that is unappreciated. However, I'm a grown man, fortunately, so let's get to work on what we think are the problems and how these problems can be fixed from my point of view. If they're actually going to fix it, we'll see. At least we did our best to help them make an amazing project, right? So one of the most important things coming up is obviously the vesting tomorrow. So on the 13th of January, the next vesting is released, and the indication will be that most people will dump, pushing the price below the IDO price, which is extremely bad milestone for the investors, right? But hopefully this video will cheer them up, see some light at the end of the tunnel, and hold on to their tokens. Because what we're going to do is we're going to make a little sketch. My main focus would be cut down the circulating supply. I do think that's a real problem. In my opinion, they raised too much money, which they don't really need or not really are using properly at the moment, which we'll give some ideas for later. But cutting the circulating supply is the most important thing, because people are dumping their tokens consistently, and that's why the price keeps moving down in a downward linear trend. What that means is that basically over time it moves like this and it doesn't appear to be stopping, right? So we need to cut that circulating supply, and there's a lot of ways to do this, of which one way they have already started, which is the radium liquidity pool. People tie up and support the liquidity, therefore they cannot utilize their tokens. However, more tokens are therefore distributed among them over time. So it's not something that is a huge problem, but I do think there are easier, faster opportunities that we could take advantage of, or Solchicks team could take advantage of right now to basically leverage their opportunities a little bit better. So here's the pool, right? Chicks to USD, total liquidity 2.8 million on the low side. And the volume is also really low, which basically means that the liquidity pool is not earning that much on the fees, right? Only $916, which is very, very low. Now we do have some opportunities. So let's work with the current price, because that's basically the first thing we need to enter. So the Solchicks price is basically this, right? So that's what we're going to work with. Then in addition, we're going to work with the market cap. So, let me actually do it like so, that's easier. Then we have the market cap. Then we need the fully diluted market cap, because this will be a ratio. So the market cap, all it is at this point, because there's no working game yet, which we all know, that's fine, is basically the amount that we believe, and when I say we, it means the market believes this value to this project to be worth, right? So it's a created value by investors, what we believe this project is worth. Okay, let me cut some zeros on this one. There we go. So we have 16.4 million against $727 million. So definitely very high in the fully diluted market cap. That's because the circulating supply in Chicks, circulating supply is quite high. So let me see. So circulating supply is this amount, and that's 2% of the max supply, which I will also add. Max circulating supply, 10 billion tokens, right? There we go. So 10 billion circulating supply is this, which is about 2.2%, right? So based off these metrics, we need to have some ideas on how we can alter this, and then it will make some projections on each of the steps, what this would do with the actual price, the market cap, and the circulating supply, right? So basically the opportunities that are present are several. There are several opportunities that are at play here. So the first thing they already did is the liquidity farming, right? The yield farming. That is an option to basically take tokens out of supply. The con therefore is on this one is that you're going to be paid in tokens relative to the impermanent loss that might be established there. So there are some pros and cons to this, but it's at least the first step, right? The next step, in my opinion, is single-sided staking. So with the staking, right, let me make it. So let me just not add anything here because I'm not a liquidity farming expert, but I do know a lot about the staking game. So this is single-sided staking. So they just open up a staking on their website, right? You just go to solchicks.io, you have like staking, you click it and you lock your tokens for a specific period of time and you earn APY on this, or APR, right? Now the thing is, with the locked time frame needs to be bigger than the APY gain, otherwise you're just adding to the circulating supply and we want to cut it. So we want to cut it for a limited time. What is the next milestone? So this is to be taken into consideration. The next milestones that they have is basically the alpha launch, right? Which is, I believe, on their roadmap as well. If we try to find the roadmap, here we go. Release of the Chicks Alpha, right? And then there's a challenge. Those are basically the main two important things. There should be an NFT wave, which was delayed here as well. So I do think that is important. NFT sale. So those are basically the two big milestones, right? So the staking should bridge the period of the alpha launch. So the minimum staking requirement should be 3 months. So you're here, lock plus bridge time. That's the huge pro, right? Then in addition to that, what else would you have? The con would be adding to the circulating supply. through the APY, right? You're going to give people more tokens for locking up their tokens. So short-term benefit, long-term potential new problem that you're creating, right? There's always a pro, there's always a con. It's never in perfect balance. So the lock here, however, let's make it a little bit more aggressive, because the team, in my opinion, needs to be a little bit more aggressive. So let's say we're doing a 90 or 180 day lock, right? Plus 25% early unstake fee. So let's say for whatever reason you want to unstake your tokens, they take a 25% fee, so they wipe all your APY, that's gone, you're not going to receive that, plus 25 of your tokens will be consumed for early unstaking, and they're going to be burned, right? Which basically has a direct effect on reducing the supply. Depending on how aggressive, they can even go like 180 days and 365 days, right? You need to offer a good APY, but the admins, the moderators, apparently are very long-term focused, right? I'm just using your own words here, which basically means that the opportunity will be there to basically make a long-term staking pool, right? And I know a lot of people want like 30-day staking. That has no direct benefit, right? Right now, it's about solving the problems that are appearing and looking at what is possible, right? So in my opinion, I think 180 days, 365 might not be as ideal. I think it starts at 90. You can make 3 pools, 90, 180, 365 days, and then a 25% early unstaking fee, right? Don't make this higher, like 50%, that's a little too crazy, which is basically the burn, right? And those tokens are burned. It might surprise you how many people are actually going to unstake, and then you can burn those tokens. It also means that some people commit to the staking, change their mind later, and they will not unstake because of the 25% burn. That's the whole idea. You lock them in, you give them a good reward, right, at the end of the period with the APY. So you add to the circulating supply here. So plus circulating supply. Oh, wait. Obviously it's Excel, so we cannot do that. Circulating supply, which has APY. So the staking is one of the easiest things. This should have been done, in my opinion, literally as soon as the project opened on the 13th. They already delayed the IDO, so they had time. However, we're here to save Solchicks, not to be more negative. So definitely this is a good addition into the liquidity farming to keep the project stable and cut the circulating supply, right? Now the next milestones I want to discuss, we'll pick up the NFT launch, right? So there's the third minting. And here I do have many IDs. So the third minting is adding NFTs, which is great. Right, the con is it's diluting NFT circulating supply, right? If you look at the current price of these NFTs, they're quite cheap at the moment. So once they were sold, they were minted for 3 Solana. The floor price right now is 6.79 Solana, coming from a period where pre-IDO, they were an average 40 Solana, 24 Solana, 17 Solana, even thereafter 44 Solana, but it has crashed down together with the token price. This indicates that the hype around Solchicks is slowly declining. Not a problem though, because we can save it. So on the third mint, we're going to add NFTs, which is great because that adds to the adaptability, right? Adoption of the game, and it will dilute the value a little bit more because more supply, same demand, price goes down, right? Basic economics. So what could we do in order to have some additional benefits here? Let me make them like so. And then I'll just put like a bar below it so it's a little bit more clear what we're looking at each of the topics. Okay. So the pro, what I would do is, so they announced that it would be on Binance, right? That got delayed due to technical difficulties. I don't know if that is the exact reason, but let's assume that that is correct, right? So I don't know if the post is still up. Yeah, here we go. Third wave exclusive on Binance. Binance NFT. So the idea was you'll be able to mint a ticket on Binance NFT, and which can submit it to the website to participate in a Wave 3 Solchicks airdrop. So you would get them airdropped to your wallet, and you would get the, okay, that's interesting, right? The problem here is, in my opinion, that Binance NFT platform uses BUSD or BNB. So they use their native token, which makes sense, and I want to use Solchicks. So if Solchicks would do the mint themselves on their own website, so solchicks.io mint, right, they can utilize the Chicks token, right? Con, none, or basically less brand exposure maybe, right? Because if they leverage Binance as a partner, it might sound cool, but it might attract some paper hands. But is there really any intrinsic value in it? No, because it's working against your goal, what you're trying to achieve. So if you would mint on solchicks.io, you can use the Chicks token, right? So here we can make basically the first real calculation. So I want to know how much could happen. Mint privileges, 5 Solana for the Wave 3, right? Okay, so Wave 3 mint, 5 Solana. Okay, wait, Solana 5. How much is that in USDT at the moment? I'll just take the current price, 138. Okay, so 690 US dollars, right? And how many Chicks tokens would that be at the current price? Well, I can just go divide it by this one. So about 9,490, okay? Then we have total NFT, 5,000 units. So how many Chicks tokens would we get if we would do it in Chicks? That's a lot. A lot. Can I make this number easier to read? Probably. There we go. I will do the same for these two here. Oh wait, for just that one. There we go. All right, so we would raise 47 million in Chicks tokens, right? With a circulating supply of 225 million right now, you would cut the supply by 1/5. It's a fucking no-brainer, in my opinion. The only problem is that the team would basically have two options here, right? So you can raise Chicks to do a buyback, which basically means is, raise Sol to do a buyback. So they raise it in Solana, or they raise it in BUSD, or they raise it in BNB, whatever currency they raise, it doesn't matter. Then they go on the exchange and they just buy their own tokens back, right? So now they have a treasury worth of tokens that they hold. If they're not going to do anything with them, they're basically removed from the supply. To be fully transparent, usually companies then burn the tokens, right? So they're gone forever. They can never dump them to create some form of a rock situation, right? So they would raise Solana, BUSD, or BNB. It doesn't matter, right? Depending on what their terms are. Then they do a buyback and they burn those tokens. What would be easier if they raise Chicks and do a burn immediately, right? The con here is that the company doesn't gain any cash, right? So if they would do the next NFT mint, I believe, just my opinion, they would raise more money, right? Because of this. The question is, what is more important at this moment? Regaining investors' trust in the short, medium term, or raising more money? I don't know. That's up to them, you know. I know what I would say, but obviously I'm biased because I don't work for them. I work for me. But that's definitely a situation to consider. If we look at the relative percentage, you can see how much of an impact this would have already. And basically, they would donate their third minting of the NFTs for the future of this project. It would be, yeah, about just under 22%, which basically would have a significant impact on the price, right? Even the gesture alone would probably pull the price up significantly. The announcement that they are going to do it will have a rapid effect. The price will completely turn around in the short term, and then when they do it, you will see stabilization. And I think it's not that important for the short term to make significant gains, right? There is a downward trend which has been linearly over time taking in effect, right? It's slowly been declining. Obviously, with the current market conditions, it's not ideal, but it doesn't take away the overvaluation of this project, in my opinion, which compared to the other games, right? What do you have? Star Atlas, Monkey Ball, Cryo War, all Solana-based games. Even when we take into consideration the Ethereum games, the Binance Smart Chain games, this project, for what it has achieved so far in terms of playable games and stuff, in my opinion, the market cap is really low. High, the other way around. It is really high. When we look at the volume, however, the volume is really low, right? So, for example, I've been talking on this channel a lot about two other games, which also, Magicraft doesn't have a playable demo. It's just all hype right now, sitting about 11 million, right? But 4 million a day in volume, right? Which is two-thirds of the market cap of Solchicks, but more than 6 times the actual volume, which is to be considered. Obviously, this project is quite up. If we look at Neneco, which I've been also discussing just last week, basically, it has an extremely small market cap, but we're talking 8 million in volume, right? It's trending right now because it's pumping. I called this one like a week ago when it was like right here. But since then, there has been a tremendous amount of volume because of their game demo development. So this game is further along the way. They're launching their alpha next week, but the market cap is really small. But look at the volume, right? 8.1 million. Of course, it's in the trending upward line, so do take that into consideration. I just want to illustrate that the market cap is really high and the volume relative is really low as an indicator that it's not traded as much. And if it is traded, looking at the chart, it's in a downward trend because people are looking to dump, right? If we look at a depth chart, if it's loading, yeah, we can see definitely a lot of, can I increase the range? No, that's not even that helpful. I can only do it 20%. But if we would look at the book, am I in an advanced display or not? Basically, the timing, like there's one trade every 1 minute. Look, there's no trades for a minute and a half. There's no trades for 7 minutes in between these two, which basically means that the volume is so little. It's on the left-hand side, actually, on Maxi. So if we look at the buying side of things, right, there's like 21,000, 27,000. It could basically go to zero with about 30,000 buy orders, right? And when you look at the sell orders, it's massive, right? Here, 20, 20, 30, 30, 60, 50, 30. And this is just to 25 cents, a point that it has breached before. At 41 cents, there's $110,000 sitting there. And with only 700K volume across all platforms, and Maxi only responsible for 200K daily, yeah, it's extremely unlikely that would add anything. Even Gay.io could not pull the volume back up when it was listed because people just are not interested in the project. And it does frustrate me a little that the team is so focused on, longevity, this game is going to be amazing. All the indicators point towards people not believing that, right? People are dumping this project because other projects are doing a better job. So hopefully my plan can assist you a little bit. Now, I've been hearing some things through the grapevine. This is not from official sources, but it is from unofficial sources. which basically has to do with another NFT sale. So obviously I wondered why the Binance Mint got delayed. You know, the team has technical difficulties, I believe them, but I also am an entrepreneur myself, a marketing guy, so I know sometimes things have two sides. And somebody mentioned an NFT land sale inside Solchicks, which I would think is interesting. So let's say they would sell land, right? What type of land would they sell? Let me just assume that the pattern would be similar to what other games are doing, right? Which land is usually quite valuable, but let me pinpoint it, let's say on 500 USD, right? Which for such a game as Solchicks, I think is quite realistic. Most investors would be willing to pay for real estate. That real estate is a lot more valuable than the playable Solchicks breed, because you need to have a Solchick to play the game, but they will be diluted in value once the breeding starts, which is a point I will touch upon later when we discuss the alpha launch. So in this case, 500 Solchicks would basically 500 BUSD or whatever USD would allow us 6,871. So the total NFTs, let's assume that they do 10,000, right? Because 10,000 is like a normal amount for land sales. 10, 15,000 is usually the amount you usually see quite a lot. How much chicks could they raise? 68 million, right? So together, these two NFT projects, so the first one is like an actual example. The second one is just speculation at this point, right? 160 million. They could buy half the supply right now. The only thing is, tomorrow this supply will shoot up crazy, right? So tomorrow the circulating supply would shoot up, which will bring therefore the supply up, and the demand will stay the same or go down, which means the price will crash. Short term, right? They can fix it. So definitely opportunity there. So if there would be an NFT land sale, right? So let me just say here, Solchicks.io mint, NFT land mint, and do that in Chicks token. Again, you basically have these same options there. So the minting of the NFTs, as you can already can see, has a tremendous opportunity in terms of choices. Man, Solchicks should hire me as an advisor. I don't think I will take the gig unless it pays me enough, but we have so many ideas, guys. And these are not only my ideas, right? I did ask my Discord community to help me out with some ideas here. But this is like basically NFT land, and the other one, this is the third minting, right? But that would be definitely a significant amount of tokens that would be gained. I'm not sure. I don't think the circulating supply will double tomorrow on the next minting, because there's liquidity involved here as well. But I do believe that there will be maybe between 50 and 100 million, just an estimate in terms of tokens. So definitely you would see a price. Let's say we do a 1:1 ratio. Let's say 100 million. Yeah, I'm just making like a guesstimate right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I'm not too sure what we're actually are working with tomorrow. So that ratio would then be 325 million, right? 325 million, and then towards the current percentage, this one is in that case then 100%, and we divide it by this, then we get 44%. So I did it the wrong way, D2 divided by D5, so 69%, right? So basically the new value of the token would then go times 0.6927. We would look just above IDO price, right? So if 100 million tokens are being added, it would just hold straight on the IDO price. The significant difference is still a 30.8% devaluation, right? 30% in percentages, it sounds a lot more drastic than when you look at the numeric values. But I do think this is, very bad if that would happen. If it would go under IDO, everybody will panic, and the FUD, we have seen no FUD yet on this project, right? I think all the critique that has been delivered on this project so far is legit, in my opinion. And as soon as you go below IDO price, then you will see some real FUD, right? Because then people will shout all kinds of craziness. I mean, as an investor, you know the risk of participating in these IDO launches. and that's not a bad thing at all. And at the moment, it's still profitable by quite a bit, right? So we should be happy, but I do see tremendous opportunity in this project, and that's why I'm taking my time out of my day and your time to try to come up with ideas. And if they only do one of these things, then I'm already very grateful and happy that we were able to contribute. Okay, let's go to the next milestone, which is the alpha launch, right? I don't think I have anything else on the NFTs. Well, of course, we need to take into consideration these NFTs, right? So I do have more actually, because I want to refer back to not this article. We can close this. I want to refer back actually to the airdrops, right? Which I think are extremely interesting. So there's an exclusive weapon airdrop, which I assume they would make closer to the game. I do not want to see that right now either, because that is something that is useless. It's just a hype spike, and then the momentum goes down. So you actually want to leverage that momentum and stack it closer to the launch. Now, well, they said, I need to pull up the Solchicks website again, that roadmap, because I do want to say the information correctly. It's been changed quite a bit. All right, Q1, so basically January, February, March, before the end of March, and probably you would have to count in 20th of March, probably like that. It also says expected launch date, the Solchicks Alpha, right? Which evolve your Solchicks, engage in battle, and bonding with your Solchicks. I assume in this case the breeding will also be live. Okay, so the marketplace, farming, and occupations. Yeah, I assume with the alpha the breeding goes live, which then you have the burning mechanic, but I want to discuss that later. So breeding as a faction there. Okay, so with the NFTs you still have the airdrops. There are no cons to it, because it just adds hype, and hype plus raise of the bid floor, right? As soon as they announce that there will be a legendary weapon airdrop, or whatever the fuck they're going to airdrop, mystery box, exclusive weapons, they do a Tums of Power airdrop, Tums of Relearning airdrop, there's a Shard of Love airdrop, there's a Soul Coin airdrop, there's a Chicks airdrop. So the Chicks airdrop maybe not, because that's diluting the supply again, but it would increase demand, right? If you would airdrop Chicks to NFT holders and they can solely be used, I don't know how that would work, but to breed the NFTs, right, as a free coins for the arcade, basically, right? In this example, that would make sense. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 airdrops, which do hold good hype power, right? So 6 total airdrops, which would create hype, marketing hype, and raise the bid floor. So when you're looking at the alpha game launch, you do not want to do all the airdrops, obviously, in the first 6 weeks of the alpha launch, right? You probably want to stretch it out. You do one airdrop once a month to create the hype, but then you still have a lifetime on these airdrops for 6 months. Looking at the crucial effect of the current status of the market and the game, probably you would want to start the airdrops next month, right? 2nd until the 8th month, which is basically until August. In that case, you basically have the full alpha bridge, right? The hype initially before and thereafter, which I think would make sense. So that's one airdrop a month. You can announce them as soon as one has happened. Congratulate everybody. A week later, announce the next one. Get that hype going. So the clear roadmap, I think, I'm more about the financials and how it would work, but what my community mentioned the most is have a clear roadmap with dates, confirmed dates, because that's what would bring a lot of trust back to this project. I'll put it here. I'll put this one down a little bit. So we'll do roadmap with basically confirmed dates is confidence, right? The con therefore is make no mistakes, because the confidence will be lost quite quickly if you cannot keep your promises regarding what you were supposed to deliver when, right? And we have seen that in terms of over-promising and under-delivering. Okay, there we go. So these are some of the ideas regarding the NFTs. The actual interest in the NFTs themselves, I don't think it has a direct impact on the token or longevity of the game. If the price becomes lower, right, and I'm going to be fully transparent, right, I hold 15 of these NFTs, so obviously I want the price to go up, but from a business point of view, right, just being realistic, if the price would go down, it all only increases mass adoption, right? Because they are more affordable, the game becomes more affordable to play, so there's definitely a benefit there, right? Which would make sense. Okay, where was I? Let's go back. We were on the alpha launch. So the alpha launch breeding, right? Breeding is one of the main things, basically increases adoption because of the NFTs, right? And burns tokens. Because you need chicks tokens to breed, they have said that before, so that would make sense, right? Then you got the next topic, which is basically the con to this. It's NFT circulating supply, but that's only a con for the people holding the current NFTs and they're looking to flip them, right? For everybody else, there's no direct cons. Then you got the marketplace, right? There's no con to this because it used for adoption, right? Same thing, in-game, and it burns tokens. So the tokens that are utilized in these transactions can be burned again, cutting down the circulating supply, as I see that as the main mover, right? Then what else did they mention? They did mention something else on the roadmap. Solchicks farming. I don't actually know what that means because it's not liquidity farm. Maybe it's farming in-game, which is going to cost tokens. But I'll just say in-game elements, right? So all the in-game elements will burn tokens. Again, reducing the circulating supply and increasing mass adoption. So all these things are a good thing. So the alpha launch is huge, right? Basically, the alpha launch is the initial turnaround point where everything, in my opinion, can only go up. So what we really have is you just need to bridge 10 weeks. 10 weeks? So if you do believe in the longevity of the project, yes, in my opinion, hold for 10 weeks and you should be good, right? It's just something that makes sense, that if all these things are applied, there will be a turnaround point. Maybe the Solchicks token is on 1 cent or below 1 cent at that point, right? So that's the risk. If all the investors lose confidence, there is that risk. However, I do think that there's great potential there in an upward trend as soon as the alpha launch is happening. Now, what I do want to sketch is the problem with the circulating supply, because a lot of people don't understand this, right? They think that projects just have limitless value and everything is great until it's not, right? So let me just pull this down here to try and sketch a scenario. So basically all I did, right, so far was burn tokens, raise chicks and then burn them preferably. Why am I only focused on the burning components of this saving Solchicks plan? Right? The saving Solchicks basically comes down to the team needs to get their hands on Solchicks tokens and then burn them to cut down the supply. Okay, so this works with supply and demand, right? Let me go over to a sketchpad. Oh, hang on. This is not the one I usually use. I use sketchpad. This one. And I have drawn beautiful drawings before, so I know I can do it again. Oh no, wait, I just need to pull up a new one. Yes, that's fine. Okay, so basically, get my pencil. Yep, that's fine. This is the graph, right? This is time, or is this price? No, price always goes here. So price, time, right? That's what we're looking at. We started high, and now we're in a downward trend. Linearly. So linearly it would go like this, right? at some point, if nothing is happening, it's not going to cross into negative, right? Because the token will just devalue and it will slope out like this. What happens is at some point there will be no liquidity to back, because obviously if the volume goes down, if the price goes down, right, the volume goes down, and at some point the volume is so low that liquidity farmers do not earn anything, so they pull out their liquidity, which means trades cannot happen, which basically the project goes bust, right? And this is not happening in the next 10 weeks, but it could happen. So you should be considering this, right? What happens if you cut the supply? Basically the downward trend would look like this, right? So this is what it would look like. So let's say we cut the supply here and we do a 20% token burn, right? So now on the same strategy, it would go like this, right? But there's just not more tokens, right? So 20% of the tokens are burned, which means that the value, let's say of 10 cents right here is, so that would be here, right here, on the same moment, basically, because these lines should be on the same level, is now worth 20% increase because the supply is cut. And that is important, that demand and supply stay the same on this axis. It's basic economics, right? So the point where demand and supply meet is basically where we can have the best opportunity for sales and growth, right? It's what we call equilibrium. It's a difficult word. But this is what I do in my primary business, which is advertising, which we look for that perfect moment where we basically have the perfect money to spend with the right amount of budget. But whatever the fuck, I don't want to make it too complicated. But it's important that you understand that the supply and the time relative to what's going on is extremely important. Now, why would we not be able to work otherwise with this project, right? Well, I'll give you some examples. So this is, I'll take a multiplier, right? Because that would be easier. So let's say Solchicks, I need to look at the Solchicks price. Because a lot of people say like, oh, Solchicks can go to $3 next year. Well, let's see if it can with the current circulating supply, right? So the price would then be times 2. And then we just need to fix the price. There we go. So the price times 10, well, we can go a little bit higher. Times 30. $2. People mention me $3, so let's pull it up until $3. There we go. So 42 times from the current price, right? Which is quite steep indeed. Okay, and then basically for these things, it's exactly the same. You take the original, you put the markers, that's it. You take the original, put the markers, ooh, not divided by, times this one. And then the circulating supply. No, let's leave the circulating supply out of it for now, because that doesn't increase according to that. Okay, let's put them in money metrics. Easier to read. Bang. All right. So in a situation where Solchicks would reach $3, it would have a market cap of 688 million, fully diluted at $30.5 billion, right? Okay, how realistic is that? Because this is perceived value, right? Perceived value can live off hype solely, right? We've seen this with many launches, like on Bluezilla. These launch pads, they have no projects yet they're so pumped, so hyped, the market cap goes times 100, times 300, times 1000 sometimes. How far can it realistically go? Well, let's look at some of the biggest projects, right? The biggest gaming projects right now. So obviously we can say, what if Bitcoin goes to 100,000, right? Then the market caps will look different. But what if it doesn't? Yes, also important. We cannot only argue in our favor. We have to look from both sides. So probably Decentraland, Sandbox, where are they? Sandbox, Axie, Decentraland are probably the biggest metaverse gaming projects at the current stage, right? Fully diluted market cap currently $6 billion, right? Market cap at 5 billion. So they're the circulating supply. How long has this project been around? Since 2017, right? So 5 years, almost 4.5 years. Axie Infinity, 19 billion fully diluted, 4.4 billion market cap, 23% circulating supply, as you can see, almost 1/4, has been around since 2020. So almost, we're looking at almost, when was this? Because it is the American dates, right? Yeah, so that's November 2020. So just over a year, right? Then we look at the Sandbox, has been around since 2020 as well, about the same time, a year and a half, fully diluted at 14 billion, market cap at 4 billion, right? So these are Decentraland, the longest one. Axie Infinity is probably the #1 play to earn game, right? Because these are more metaverse style games. So Axie Infinity would be, I would say, the best example, and the marketing of Solchicks was the Axie Infinity killer, right? So we'll see, we'll just compare it with this one. But the other ones are very important to take into consideration for this. So this is the current market conditions. We could even make some adjustments there, right, later. So fully diluted at $3, we're looking at $30 billion, right? That's higher than Axie Infinity by about 30%. That's double the fully diluted market cap of Sandbox right now, and that's more than 5 times the fully diluted market cap of Decentraland. How likely is it for Solchicks to do that? Extremely unlikely, right? Unless Bitcoin goes to $250,000, I don't see this happening unless they burn fucking tokens and reduce the supply. Because if they reduce the supply, then it's way easier for that price to be higher, yet the market cap to be lower, right? Or the fully diluted market cap. And the market cap at the end of the day is the value of the project. When we look at, obviously it's not that easy, right? I'm not going to say it's easy, because you need to take a lot of things into consideration. Like, for example, they did the tokenomics based on the game, how they think it will perform, all these things, and they need to adjust all of that. So it's definitely not an easy task. However, taking this into consideration, one more thing I would like to address, if that Bitcoin would go to 100,000, right? Or let's say Bitcoin would go back to 68,000 or whatever the all-time high was, right? In that case, Sandbox would probably go back to $8.40, which is about a 40% increase, which would bring the fully diluted market cap to about 20 billion. Still not enough, right? Axie Infinity would go back to its all-time high of 160, which is basically more than double, which would bring it to 40 billion, but that's the #1 play to earn game. So you're going to slaughter the king, who has basically at that point 2 years of progress ahead of you. Very, very ambitious. Then Decentraland, which is basically the all-time high, sitting at about just over $5, right? $5.50, 40% increase, $10 billion, right? So a $3 Solchicks based on the current circulating supply is literally, in my opinion, not possible. Unless Bitcoin reaches like 250K, all these market caps go up linearly, but then Solchicks is not special because the entire market is pulling into that direction. Therefore, I'm focused on cutting the circulating supply by burning tokens, right? Because if you would burn tokens, bring the circulating supply down, basically what I sketched here, let's say you would start at 5 cents, right? And you would move up. So let's say they burn tokens today, right? And you go to 5 cents IDO price. Then the market cap would also be lower, right? So I need to adjust the market cap in that case, because the market cap also has to go times 0.6927. In that case, it would be 11.36. And a fully diluted market cap. So for it to reach, so then we go to $2.10 for 20 billion because it doesn't compound that quickly, right? So in this case, when you would cut the supply, of course, you at the end of the day, the multiplier functions a little bit slower, right? But I should have saved it because now I can't remember. I think it was 30 billion, right? So let's say what happens if we pull this to $3, 30 billion relative to the price, but then the circulating supply, is that correct? Let's go back. That's the great thing about Excel, you can just push it back if you like. So times 42, then we cut the circulating supply by that amount. But this was based on the previous calculation. So I don't know if I did this correctly. Just going to admit it to you guys because I do want to give you the right information. But yeah, basically it comes down to I do not want to make it over complex because then I might be making mistakes, and I'm obviously not an expert in this. Although it does look very impressive, although I say it myself. When I look at these overviews usually later, I'm like, what did you do? Like, how did you even get there? And I was like, I just went with the Excel. But yeah, the most important thing is then obviously the circulating supply, getting that down by applying these mechanics. If they don't, it doesn't really matter that much, right? So if they don't do anything on the circulating supply, move the way they move, it doesn't mean that Solchicks cannot succeed in the long term. What it does mean is they expose themselves to significant risk. Significant risk of the investors dumping their token because there are other opportunities that are better, right? Which is from an investment point of view, the opportunity. So I'm not talking about the game. I'm not talking about anything like that. I give my opinion on projects from my point of view, which is on investment basis. So they call me the IDO flipper, which is kind of true. But I do analyze projects based on their potential, not just on the flips. Right? I do very big research reports on this channel where I literally spend up to an hour, sometimes more, looking into the projects and the opportunity there. I did do that for Solchicks and it did show amazing opportunity, right? So there's definitely some opportunity there. I just think we need to take this all into consideration. Then obviously, in terms of the other opportunities which are available, are a little bit more longer term. So the short-term mechanics, I think these are the easiest ones. The staking is quite an easy one to cut the supply, cut the circulating supply. And all this does is bring confidence back to investors, and you will see the move in the chart up. If a project would say, like, we do not care about the price of the token, we're here for the long term, that's because they cannot say anything else, right? So they have no other arguments. You are 100% right. They should care about the valuation of their company because that is how it's perceived by the market. If that value goes down, people lose confidence. As I said, price goes down, market cap goes down, which means your value of your company goes down. As soon as people exit the liquidity pools, then you have a disaster because you need to put up the liquidity yourself. If there's no money, you're stuck and your project is dying. And which we don't want. That's why we're making this plan, right? What else do I have? I don't think I have that much. So with the staking we discussed, the NFTs we discussed, the roadmap, the alpha launch, and then obviously you have things like partnerships, but they have no direct short-term effect. So you saw, recently we saw Fractal, right? Partnerships, Altura, and those will be helpful for the long term. Things I don't think are that helpful, like 3D NFTs that they're working on. Yes, that's cool and it's probably required for the game if you want to make the game into 3D, but for the players that is huge, but for the investors it's not. This is one big point I want to sketch. I don't know if anybody watched this far into the video, but if you did, thank you so much. On the other hand, it is the marketing point of view is that, let's say 80% of the audience on Telegram and Discord are players. That is not true, right? This is a true misconception by the team. 80% of the audience on Telegram and Discord is investors, right? Or more, right? 90%, maybe even 95%. So when you tell them to shut the fuck up about the price and it doesn't matter, that loses confidence, right? Because you just have to be transparent and say like, hey guys, we're looking for a fix. That's all you have to say. Be transparent, being open, and find some opportunities there. So this is basically my plan, which is heavily focused on token burns. And I hope that they take this into consideration. So this is what I will offer them. Do forward these ideas to the Solchicks team. I would really appreciate that. You can do that on their Discord, on their Twitter, on their Telegram, just to show that I do have good intentions. But if these intentions are not appreciated, I'm going to be a little bit butthurt and not cover their project anymore. So I know that's something that some people have said, like, hey, why don't you just don't cover Solchicks anymore? I do want to cover it, but because I cover all my investments, right? And I do want to share my opinion, and I do think this is a great plan. And maybe for the company, if they would only pick one of these things, we have helped them in a way that no other investor has helped them, right? Because I feel like people are turning salty, people are turning negative, and that's not me to blame for this. They only have themselves to blame for this, right? When we look at their Twitter, for example, the engagement is quite down. So this is the liquidity farming, which is nice, right? There's some like tweet and win an NFT, which is decent, but even on like a free giveaway, there's not that much action relative to their total following. I mean, 300,000 followers. On a regular post, you get 300 likes. That's not as significant, you know, and they're really trying to get that engagement back. If we go to Discord, because I am in the Discord actually, they have a lot of different channels, and basically in the general chat, there is some discussion on how things are going. But you can see that there's only in the last 3 hours, there's like 6 posts. There's still people with claiming problems on their token. Well, that happens, right? That occurs. The admins are there. They're answering questions. But they're just not that friendly, right? And the great thing, and that's basically my number one thing, right? Because I don't want to bash the project any more than I already have. Let me see. So I mentioned this, right, specifically about the 80% of our players and invested in the long term. I don't know if the team gets instructions to assume that, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think all the people here primarily are investors or people who joined the IDO, right? And in that case, I think it's really important that the team is aware of what people are desiring and do not battle with them. So the Discord is actually quite neutral at the moment. So I don't have anything to say about that. You know, they seem to be answering the questions. And that's what I wanted to say. The reason I chose Solchicks out of all the projects on the IDO, because I never saw a team replying to questions before an IDO in such an amazing manner. You can go back to the first video I made about Solchicks, and that's 100% the truth, right? I was impressed, I was amazed about the quality that this team put together in answering questions, and that is gone. After the IDO, that basically completely disappeared. Now it's just wait for announcements, they just keep you waiting, and nothing is really happening. People are quite negative, like this guy, and then some people are defending them a little bit, which is fine. You know, you have some people that are fans. It's just not helpful. We have on board community frustrations, blah blah blah. So this guy is at least accepting it, you know, that is the case. And then yeah, you really do not want to ban people or mute people that are overly negative. You do want to start and keep that conversation going. Things like when they host AMAs, they're not AMAs, they're just them talking about their ideas and what they're going to do next. and they really should invite people, or at least, to be fair, if I was an admin or a marketing guy on this project, and you have a YouTube guy who you think is an asshole, which I'm referring to myself, I would invite them on a call and let's talk. Let's talk about this project. Let's try to convince you, because you have influence over, at the moment, 14,000 people that are watching my content. I get millions of impressions on YouTube, right? So there's a big potential there. And I think to be open to that conversation should be one of the more important things. But the admins really need to be guided in terms of their way of answering questions here. Where do you sell your diamond hands? Diamond hands don't sell. They're accumulating for long term. You know, they should be there to, the half of the conversation is just the admins talking with each other. The main focus here should be, look, it should not be fighting, and it should not be arguing in this chat. You should have a good time. These things should come back to life as it was before. There's a huge team, so I can appreciate that they have a huge team ready and prepared to answer questions, which I think is amazing. These people just need a little bit better guidance in not seeking confrontation, right? That confrontation is not going to reward anything, right? So let me give you some examples, which I think, if I browse my own name, which obviously I already did before this video, is he should not make any more videos. That's fine. He needs click-through, so what do you expect? Lol. Man, as an admin of a page, from somebody who creates content, you can't say that shit. Like, I don't mind personally, right? Because it is what it is. That's fine. This is clearly, so they're basically, he's not in the US are banned, blah, blah, blah. What does it matter? Like, they're feeding the hate. And obviously what you get is more hype created around this dynamic. And it's not solely about me, right? Because I have been making this content in any way I deem it should be created. So that's 100% fine. I do think, however, that the negativity, the FUD, is being stimulated by the admins being so hostile. And they weren't hostile before. So either the instructions from the boss has changed, where they basically say, cut down all the FUD, just ban everybody, mute everybody, because I can't get banned apparently. I said some negative shit in the chat and it just got deleted, but they're not banning me. So they know that that would be probably a step too far. They got some instructions there. However, they do ban a lot of other people, where I think open up that conversation, because the main thing here is you need to get that confidence back. Coming back to this marketing point of view, I'm on a little bit of a rant right now, but 80% of the audience is players, is what they assume, which is not true, right? 80% or more is investors. The early adapters of your game, when your alpha goes live, the first day, 95% of the people downloading and playing your game are the people from the IDO investors, not players. IDO investors, because they want to see what they invested in, what it looks like. They are excited. These are your early adopters, right? Let's go back to business school. Let's pull up this graph of early adopters. So the innovators are here. These are the people with the IDO, the pre-seed, the pre-sale. Let's even say the seed rounds and the private rounds, are the innovators, right? The owners who invested into this project, if they did. Then the early adapters are definitely the people in the IDO, post-IDO stage, before the alpha launch, right? So here's the alpha launch, the whole project in terms of growth potential a year after the alpha launch goes live. The game is running, breeding is active, everything is active, and it grows, and then it still grows, but on this curve you have the late majority, which is basically people who are joining Axie Infinity right now, after the huge spree has already happened, and then you got laggards at the end. So we're still very early, right? But these are the people, the early adopters primarily, the innovators usually not so much, but the early adopters primarily, that are going to play this game. And the game has no livelihood without people playing it. End of story. I don't want to rant too much. This is my plan. I hope they receive it with open arms. All the feedback comes from a place of love. No hippie shit, but we as in I and basically the people I've spoken with in my community really believe in Solchicks, are looking for the longevity, and I wish they could appreciate all the effort we're doing. Let me know what you think about the future of Solchicks down below in the comments. Share this video with the Solchicks team. Maybe there will be some additional benefit that they pick up any of these ideas, and if they don't, that is fine as well. We have done everything we could have done. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.